clarify this just a little bit.
All right. All right. Good morning, guys. Today is April the 26th, and let me know if you guys can hear me because I think I was also muted or muted my speakers.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So as usual, we'll be going over analysis for US 30, gold, and EU. So we literally had a huge spike before market open. So we'll just wait for the market to stabilize, but you can see for gold, we are in supply zones, even supply zones within supply zones. So we have possible sell areas. We have a 4-hour bearish high coming up. So for me, even to think about selling gold will probably be around 2014 area. EU, you can see that spike in liquidity to the upside. So I'll go over EU. I do see EU coming back down. US 30 is kind of ideally just faking out. So going over the trades from yesterday. So you remember during the live session yesterday, we took 2 US 30 trades. Ideally, they went about 90% in profit and then came back to break even. So I missed the first one, but I did catch the second one and I scaled in with a bigger lot size. We did enter gold trades on the live session as well. We had 3 setups and we entered the filler, a filler buy on gold, and it hit full TP for 0.125%. And then the best trade of the day, I did send order on EU on this channel, and I did say I'm buying EU. So yesterday at around 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, I said I'm buying EU. So this was based off of the reversal strategy. I said I'm buying EU based on the reversal strategy, 50 pips stop loss, 50 pips TP with a 0.75% risk. And if you followed that trade, it went into drawdown a little bit, but came back up and the reversal happened and the trade went straight into TP. So this was an amazing trade. So yesterday I updated the return. So on average, the first 2 US 30 trades, people should have gotten out at a good amount of profit. But if you did hold at break even or secure some at 50%, on average, the US 30 trades gave us a return of about 0.25. And then the gold filler trade hit full TP for a return of 0.125. So that brought like 0.375. And then the 0.75 risk EU trade brought us up. So this is actually the single biggest winning day just by using our strategy. So remember, I really don't count news. I mean, as much as I'm counting the returns of news days, when I see a big return like 1% a day, I would rather it being from our strategies as opposed to trading just news. So yesterday, if you took all those trades with the risk that I put in, you would have been up 1% for the day. So going forward, so I definitely am having that indicator built. So I'm still testing it out right now. So for example, if I go ahead and hide, let me get a new chart or something, a clear chart. See. Um, see what I want to do is new layout. Okay. And then I will do this, close this out. So I'm using it on EU. Let me see where that script is. So this is not yet available to you guys. I'm still doing a bunch of testing, but it will more than likely be available beginning of next week. So remember, this is the last week that the access to indicators and signals is free. So after next week, it will be by subscription only. So breakout EMA, I want this to be the 9 EMA. So ideally, the idea behind this is it prompts you to enter what you want to consider breakout. So for me, if I'm trading, I've found that this is better, especially in a trending market. Oh, after the trend has started. So like yesterday for EU, I was ideally interested. So if I go to these settings, I'll just turn off the other EMA because it comes by default with 2 EMAs. I'll just change the setting for this. We're still waiting for the market to stabilize, so we're not really missing anything. Okay, so that's the 9 EMA right there. So ideally yesterday during the trend, I did say what to consider a trend is when price has been below or above. So for example, when we were in the downtrend yesterday, I was ideally looking for price to be below the 9 EMA for at least 40 pips consistently. So right here, when price broke below the 9 EMA, the next time price was closed above and then retested and closed above the 9 EMA, the difference between that was about what? So this is about 400 and this is 230. So that's 17 pips. So to me, 17 pips is not a trend on what is it called, on FX pairs. So I need that trend. So if I put, like, for example, here, maybe I'm looking for a 10 pip breakout, maybe I would get a buy around there. So let's see. I also have the option to turn on and turn off buy and sell signals. So we should get let's see, maybe it's 5 pips. So I'm still also trying to understand some of this logic being used. So the thing with this indicator, to when you guys will be using it, don't just use it blindly. So identify a trend just by itself. Remember, this indicator is just to assist you to see where the reversal will be. So for me here, if I was using this indicator yesterday, I wouldn't be interested in seeing sell signals. In any case, I would only be interested in seeing buy signals. So I would only come here and turn off the sell signal so that I'm only interested when a buy comes up. And then I'm interested in a trend that's about at least 40 pips and above. So that way, for example, here, ideally, there should be a buy that comes up, but the last time price was above the 9 EMA was 17 pips ago. So this buy ideally was a fake out. So you want, for FX pairs, you can play around with it when you guys get access. But for FX pairs, I recommend between 30 and 40 pips. And then you input the EMA you want to price to close above or below. So for me, I trade using the 9 EMA on the short-term time frames. And then source, you can use close of the EMA or close above or below, but my programmer coded in another smoothing EMA inside price or inside the chart in order to give a better entries. Now, when we were trading on the live session, price was around here. So this is the buy that I was talking about. So this ideally was a buy because price came back up. However, when that buy comes, of course, you don't trade blindly, right? So if you're looking for a buy, you need to ask yourself, when was price last above the 9 EMA? So here, if you would have gotten this buy, you do the math. Is it at least 40? Is the last time price was above the 9 EMA 40 pips ago? No, the last time was 17 pips. So this buy ideally is invalid. So you keep going, and that's what I'm saying. You need so he has put a bunch of safeguards in here, and because of also those safeguards, sometimes you'll get some of these false positives, but you need to play with some of these settings. Let me see. Oh, was it 40? No. Let's try this. Okay. Okay, so it should be about 40. Okay, so you get that buy, you say, wait, the last time price was above the 9 EMA was 17 pips ago. That's not a valid buy. You keep waiting until you get the next buy. So keep in mind here, yesterday I was only interested in buys for EU because I said I was waiting for price to do what, to close above the 9 EMA, retest and close above the 9 EMA. So when I would have gotten this buy, I come and analyze, I say, wait a minute, no. So remember, again, this is why I have an issue with signals, because somebody could have easily gone in here with a heavy 20 lot, and guess what? They got stopped out. But personally, I waited and said, okay, when is the next time we'll get the closure above the 9 EMA, and does it align? So we got this buy here. So for this buy, this is 98.65. When was the last time price was above the 9 EMA? So if this was invalid, I'm not gonna count this zone as well. So I'm gonna look at the point where I identified the trend. So to me, the sell trend started above here. This was my point of interest. Right here. So to me, this is this. So whenever you're using this indicator, identify your point of interest on the chart and let that be where you're calculating the amount of pips price has gone down. So to me, this is 98.54. This point was 104.20. So this is a 60 pip move. So yes, this was a valid buy. So here, and I think I sent those results this morning, because I think I entered into 2 buys, if I'm not wrong. Did I send? Maybe I sent in the general chat. No. Yeah, I entered into 2 buys, right? So my first buy yesterday on EU was where? Was here. And then I actually entered this as he was coding, because yesterday I ideally spent like 20 hours of the day in front of the charts just doing a bunch of back testing. So for this reversal strategies, don't use our regular 50 pips stop, 20 pips TP, 20 pips stop loss for FX pairs. I do recommend using double what we normally use when we are trading on the live session. So for here, I was going for 50 pips stop loss, 50 pips take profit. Okay. Trade went into drawdown. I think this is also the trade that we entered on the live. Yeah, this is literally the trade we entered on the live session. So trade came back into drawdown. So I was still in this trade. Later on in the evening, when he was still making changes to the code, the next time price closed above the 9 EMA, retested and closed above. Okay, this to me is still valid because the trend at this point is about 90 pips. So guess what? I entered my second buy on EU right here. 50 pips 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss. And for both trades, so that's how I was able to make all those returns, because both of those trades hit TP. Yeah, but for this one, don't use it like how we use the other strategies or the signal strategy where you can enter on impulse. For this, especially this, it can either make or break your trades. You always need manual intervention. So when you get if you're just interested in buys, come in here, turn off the sell signals. However, since some people always have a mind of their own at times, you can trade with both if you want and catch moves both ways. Let's see. Yeah, but I do recommend in here using like 40 pips stop 40 pips breakout for FX pairs, and then play around with the source right here. So for the source, play around whether it's with the closure of the 9 EMA or the fast MA. So the fast MA tries to smooth out price. The closure means you're gonna get signals based off of the closure above or below the 9 EMA, which is the original strategy that we have. So you see, like for example, right here, right? I need to take a screenshot of these settings because I need to document them. So for right now, for FX pairs, about 30 pips breakout, and then use the 9 EMA, and then under source you can do close. So yeah, look at that. This is the point of interest. This buy that was here when I was using the fast MA gets taken out, gets filtered out. And then we get only one buy at the bottom. So right now, and also today, so personally, I did actually enter like a sell on EU right here with a heavy lot size, and I got stopped out. Because to me, this trend was this trend on EU 97.61. this is a 70 pip trend. So I did enter a sell. So right now, since I was already up this much for the day, I was willing to risk this profits. So I think I'm back to break even for the day. Yes, I'm back to break even for the day. The only other trade that I'm in is a US 30 whatnot. But I'll next week when everything is tied is rounded off, I will send this to you guys. So EU and gold, I've found this one to be very helpful for US 30. So you can see for gold, the other thing, you don't want to use it in consolidating markets. So you always want to number one, find a trend. So this is a trend on gold, right? So for gold, I recommend using a setting of about 80. So to me, actually not 80, 150. So that by 150, it means gold has to move $15 in either way to get for it to be considered a trend. So right here, you had this move right here. I can automatically see a trend right here. Arrow, this to me is a trend. The reason for that is because price was above around 1996. The next time was around 1978, 76 area. So this is at least a 150 pip trend on gold. So I come in here. I'm not interested in any sales. So sales, at this point, make sure the signal you're using is the signal that in the direction you're looking for. So in here, I come in here, turn everything on, wait for a buy. Guess what? I get into a buy here. And for these positions, personally, I told you guys, for these positions, you want to, you can risk like 1%, and you only need 4 of these trades in 1 month, and you can see how often they're coming. 4 of these trades in 1 month to pass any phase one. So in here, I would have just come in, risked maybe, personally, I'll probably risk half my daily drawdown. So I would do 80, no, for this one, I would do 1,000. So this is what's going to actually also enable you to test and trust the strategy. So for this one, I would have come in, if I'm trading a 100K account, I'm going to risk 2,500. So half my daily drawdown. So that's actually 2.5%. For you guys, if you're still new, if you're going to use this indicator to catch such trades, you can start with 1%. So remember, I always say, don't risk anything more than 1%. But for me, I'll be risking about 2.5%. So I get in there, get in with a five lot. No, like a 2.5 lot on gold. I would have gotten into a buy, boom, straight into TP. And then a trend. So as much as you're catching a reversal, technically you're also catching a new trend, right? So for the same way, if I'm looking for a sell, I wait for 150 pips. I come in here, I say, okay, now I'm interested to see when the next sell will be. So I get this sell signal right here. Okay, when was the last time price was below the 9 EMA? 1978. This one is 1988. This is only 100 pips. It doesn't match my criteria for 150 pips. So that's why I'm saying you do need manual intervention. So here, I wouldn't have entered a sell here because this distance was only about 90 pips. It doesn't meet my threshold for at least 150 pips movement on gold. So I keep waiting for the next sell. I get a sell here. Does this sell meet the, because right here, what I would have done, I would have said, now my new point of interest to calculate a trend is right on this candle because I think it closed below. So this is my new point of interest. So whatever trend is going to form right here, I need the distance to be at least, this distance to be at least 150 pips. Any cells that come up in this zone, so you can even mark on your chart, do an arrow and say, do this and say trend has, and I'll record videos of all of this. Trend has to be at least 150 pips. Right? So it's like a message to yourself. So this means any cell that shows up, and same thing with buys, right? If you're doing the opposite, any cells that will show up within this distance are invalid cells. And then you come in here, you wait for the next cell, right? You get a cell up here. Okay, what distance is this? This is 1996 minus 1978. That is 120 pips. So it's still below your threshold. don't get smart, don't FOMO, keep waiting until you get the next sale. The next sale you get up here, this is 2000, 2000 minus 1978, that is a, what is that? 22 pip. Perfect. So what do? You come in here, get into your trade, get into a short position, sell there, do you can do 50 pips if you want. Personally, I'm going to be going for double what we have, and there you go. So ideally, you would have come close to hitting TP, but at this point, again, so if you're 50% in profit, go ahead and set break even or secure some. So personally, since this trade I would have entered with a 2.5 lot on gold, I would have secured, when the trade was around halfway, I would have secured half and then set break even. But you can see you'd still be in the trade, but if you want to hold the trade for this long, well and good. So yeah,
So
so
let me
that's
ask you, Blas, now after you did that sell, right? Would you consider it starting over now? You gotta wait for another 150 pips up before you do it again, of course, right? Or is it possible it could still reverse?
no, it is possible. So it's, nothing is 100% guaranteed. So ideally, when you're catching a reversal, if you think about it, you're also catching a new trend. Because if there was a downtrend and you're catching a buy, you're catching the reversal of the downtrend, which is also to mean that you're catching the now uptrend. So that's why you
So
also
it
need,
continues. It
yeah,
continues basically. I got.
yeah, it continues. So and it's definitely important to have. So for me, those are just my parameters. Gold has to be, the trend has to be at least 150 pips. FX pairs have to be at least 40 pips. Now US 30, I can show you, and I'm still trying to refine US 30. You can see for US 30, as much as the so US 30, I think he said this has to be about 50, between 20 and 50. So let's see, 9 EMA. So US 30. So this is the buy I entered on US 30. I re-entered it somewhere here, and I might get stopped out on that too. So for US 30, the trend has to be at least 150 pips as well on US 30. So for example, if price comes from 33, so I can see a point of interest automatically here, point of interest here. The last time price was above was around 33,843. So for me to consider anything a trend here, price has to go to at least, what's 8? I'll call this 850. 850 minus 150 is 600. So for me to look for any buys, price has to come to at least here, right? So that gives me, and you can see how this tool can help you avoid FOMO. So that's why personally I did buy here. Did I buy? I bought yesterday. That's how I made. Yeah, actually, wait, I did buy yesterday, but I got stopped out. And then this morning I hopped onto another buy here. It's still running, but I might get stopped out. So I hopped on here on this buy, and that's the buy that I showed you guys on the screenshot. I hopped onto the buy here. So I think I got stopped out because I was going for a heavier TP or for a larger TP. So for me here, no, not 1,000. This is 100. So 100 pip TP, 100 pip stop loss, and you can see the reason I got stopped out on this trade that I sent you guys. So US 30 is still a bit weird, but if you look at it, technically US 30 has been consolidating over the last few days. So you don't want to see this or to use this tool on a consolidating market. So the other one, I got into a buy somewhere here, and I am still in the trade. I forget where I entered. No, I entered the buy here. So I'm actually still in a US 30s buy, and it's still running. So we'll see whether that hits TP. So wait, let me see how much I'm up today. I might actually be down like a lot, because right now there's nothing else I'm doing but testing this strategy, and I'm actually going with heavy lot sizes. So what we'll do, yeah, so I'm still in a buy for US 30. Yeah, but don't use this tool in a consolidating market. US 30, I'm still trying to refine it. You can see based on your settings, you can go a while without seeing any buy or sell signals. So I think if we do 20, maybe we'll see something. Yeah, so this will be a lot of trial and error on your parts. I will record, and there you go. Those are the So yeah, depending on the values you have, it will be upon you to play around with them. I'll do my best to try and give you the values to start around with, and then that should be good. So let's go back to the live trading for today. I'll close this out, leave this, and see what we can catch. Let me see for that account. Give me 1 second. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask. Let me change some things in my accounts. What am I doing? Yeah, but think of any questions you guys may have, and then go ahead and ask me. So yeah, I'm back I'm back to break even for the day because I lost that US 30 trade. So I was up 5K, I lost that 5K trying to catch that US 30 buy. So let's see. I need to adjust. So give me 1 quick second. I need to adjust because sometimes I've been missing some other trades I take or I have automated during the live session. And definitely like over the next year or so, we'll have more opportunities in the group for people to join, maybe like, become an affiliate or ideally be an employee of the club. Because I definitely have a lot of things that I do need help with, but the first goal for those employment or job positions will go to the admins, but there'll be enough to go around for any other guys who are interested. Just want to make sure all my accounts are good. Give me once. The other thing we can be doing, so I'll try my best to find pairs that, so remember with this strategy, we have access, the market has like what, I don't know how many FX pairs there are, right? But it's a lot of FX pairs. So if you guys trade, or if you guys are
Oh, man,
trading.
not to cut you off, that last AU signal, it looks like it might line up with your strategy.
With what, the reversal?
Reversal strategy, yeah. I entered a buy, but not heavy, just a 200 stop 200.2%.
Okay, yeah, I mean, definitely, I mean, AU buys it as well, because I have I still, give me one second. Yeah, that's actually one thing I was looking at and I'm opening. I don't want to leave this chart. I want to open in a new tab. Yeah, so if you guys trade other instruments and you're interested in, or you identify a trend and you want us to catch it in the live session, just let me know. I'm going to have a scanner built so that it shows the pairs that have been trending and then for possible reversals. So here we do have a AU. So personally, yes, I am in AU buys in some other accounts. That's actually what I was looking for.
Quick question, Mike.
Mhm.
Mike, yeah. How did you guys already analyze gold? Do you see gold dropping?
Gold. So gold, I'm waiting for gold at around 2014. But yes, gold is in heavy supply zones. So you can see gold is coming from supply zones within a supply zone. So yes, I do see, I haven't started analysis for the day, but I do see gold dropping. But personally, I would wait to around 2014 to sell gold. But yeah, right now the probabilities are higher. So this is what you want to see while you're trading. So if you're looking for a sell, you want to see all these red zones above. You don't want to see a green zone above. So if actually gold was trending today, I would have entered with a heavier lot size. But yes, gold is a sell for now.
Got it.
But
Thank you.
yeah, but for me personally, I would look to sell from 2014. So keep in mind, I still expect gold to go to 2050. So if I'm going to sell, I need proper confluence. So for this particular, let's see what we have on AU based on this. I'll do close on that. So the trend, so I can see automatically a trend, right? And you can use this on the 5 minute, on the 15 minute, probably even I think higher time frames might be safer, but personally, I trade on the 5 minute, and I'm able to see a trend easily on the 5 minute. And I'm only interested in the trend that came up the last few hours. So for me here, the automatic point of interest is here, and I can see this without even anything, right? Just automatically. So this is 361. So for me to see a trend on AU, or for there to be a trend on AU, I need a trend that's at least that goes, I'll call that 400, but just to help with math. So I'll need AU to drop to at least 0.66. So I'm interested in buys only that come up around this zone. So somewhere down here. So I turn this on. Ideally, yes, I had 40, I had close. Yeah, the settings, you definitely have to play around with them. You can use both fast MA. So if you're not getting any signals, so if you see that price is still valid and you're not getting any signals, you can play with the source, because sometimes the close is better, sometimes the fast MA filter is better. So if you're using the close, for example, we're not getting anything here. And it actually might be because that wasn't 30. Yeah, so this is, yeah. So 40 was a bit far because I'm editing, I'm just using numbers that are rounded off. So right here, this is 360. So for a 40 pip move would be 65, 30, 65, 9 something. Yeah, 65, 930 something. Yeah, so it would be a 40 pip move from here would be here 65 9, that was 360, so 65 979 or something, so anywhere around here. So in this downtrend, you're interested in any buys, so you come in here, right? You're not interested in any sells. Turn off the sells to reduce the noise, and then you tell yourself, I'm only interested in buys that come up after prices gotten to this point. So as much as we had a buy here, right? Even but for this one, since depending on your risk to, so you can also use this as swing trading, and that's why personally I'm going for 50 pips stop loss, 50 pips take profit. So for this one, if you went for 50, you see that price would still be right. You'd be back around break even for now. However, right, stick to the strategy unless you just want to fill it out. So you say right here, I'm not gonna enter this buy. I'm gonna wait till a buy comes up after price goes all the way down here. So guess what? Just because of your patience, you get a buy signal right here. And then you enter that buy. So price, so this was before, I think this was a spike or something, maybe there was news or whatnot. So you enter a buy here, you go a little bit in drawdown, and that's why I'm saying to use a 50 pip stop loss. But even if you want to use a 20 pip stop loss, anyway, it's up to you to manage your risk. But personally, I'll be going for bigger moves. You can see for a 20 pip stop loss, you could have been easily faked out. Now, so I see a buy on AU. So even forget about the reversal strategy just by turning this off. What did I say? What's a new thing I did talk about yesterday? Look at how the candles are closing. So all these 5-minute candles, so it's similar to drawing a trend line. All these 5-minute candles are closing to the upside. So yes, this buy to me is valid. And if you're re-entering, ideally you want to wait for the perfect entry or the optimal entry. So you have retest of the 9 EMA, retest of structure, or retest of the trend line. So yeah, so even for me, I will enter into that. So this is not going to count as a live trade. I'm just showing you guys how to trade with this strategies. The other thing to be on the lookout for, we have so many strategies, right? So we have signal, even though signals are not strategies. So let me put it this way. We have so many resources to use. Don't get confused. Find whether signals are working for you. Don't rush to try and figure out so many things, because what can happen, you can end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none. So just find one of our strategies, or what is it called? One of our strategies or instruments that work for you, and then stick to it. So for example, like So we have signals, we have live trading, and we have, let me enter, give me 1 second. I'm trying to enter this buy on AU.
Good morning, Rising. I have a question quick. So when do you think so you can take buy or sell? Like, did you see the previous buy signal? It wasn't good, or can you explain? Like
Right, so it's two things, right? You always want to have a point of origin. So that point of origin, it's like if you're using a GPS to go from point A to B, how does the GPS know the distance between point A to B is 50 miles, right? So it calculates the distance. So number one, identify a trend. That's number one. So most of this is going to be manual. I'm trying to have a system built so that we can get a alert that, oh, EU has trended for 40 pips. I'm trying to do the best I can for you guys, but some of these things you guys will have to do manually. So personally, since I trade EU daily, I have other accounts that I trade. For example, I trade odd JPY, and I do see a possible buy on odd JPY. So it's depending on the instruments that you're trading. Okay, so go on that instrument, identify a trend, whether it's on the 5-minute, whether it's on the 15-minute, it's still the same. Identify when the trend started. So for me here, automatically on AU, but you can see the trend started far back. So if you consider all the way up here, you want to see the most recent trend. So to me, I'm not interested in anything before here. As much as AU has been, it's right. It's even a good confluence for me that AU has just been dipping and dipping and dipping. But you see, here's the issue about looking at previous going so far back. You can keep getting faked out, right? So AU can literally keep going to the downside. So for me today, I'm interested in this point. So to me, this is the point that I'll use my calculation for 40 pips, for 50 pips. To be safer, you can always say, I'm not going to take any trade if the trend is less than 60 pips. Personally, I'm just using 40 pips. That's just my own way. So for me here, I do that. I identify this and say, this is my point of origin. Okay. I observed the 9 EMA. So for example, here we can, and you guys should be able to trade even without me right now in the live session, because ideally, if I was looking at charts, you know how I analyze charts. So I come in here, I look at when is the next time price will close above the 9 EMA and retest and close above. Okay, so if this is my point of interest, I'm just gonna put an alert and wait for the next time price crosses the 9 EMA. I get an alert here. I come to the chart, wait for the next candle. The next candle also closes above the 9 EMA. Guess what? I have a buy signal right there. Even without this indicator, this indicator is ideally trading. So I had it configured to trade like how I would trade a reversal. So that's why you have to have, that's why I always tell you guys, you have to make sure all these confluences align. So this right here, yes, it's a buy, but what is my threshold? My threshold is that a FX pair has to consistently be or trend for 40 pips. So as much as I got a buy here, I'm not interested in this buy, because at this point, this is 364. The point when this buy came up was about 0.98, so I'll call it 100. So it's about 225 pips. To me, is 25 pip a trend on FX pairs? No. To you, it might be, but to me, based on my strategy, it's not. So I say I'm not interested in this buy. I keep waiting for the next buy to show up. And guess what? We have a buy here. So for this buy, what is the distance between when this buy showed up, or how far down did price go before this buy showed up? So we had 361, call it 365, whatever, for easy math. Price went down about 958. So that is ideally like a 45, 50 pip move. So now if I get a buy here, it lines up with the distance and also closure above the 9 EMA. So at that point, I enter a buy here. You have better chances of winning this trade with little to no drawdown than the person who went. As much as this buy was also valid, depending on how this person interprets a trend, you get into a buy here. Which candle was it? I don't know if it was this huge candle. Yeah, it was this huge candle. So you get into this buy right here. use whatever stop. Personally, for this reversal strategy, I recommend using a 50 pip stop loss, 50 pip take profit, because ideally you want to give your trade room to breathe. You want to be free off of fake outs. And then you just let the trade run. Don't worry, let it hit TP, let it hit stop loss. I would say set an alert so that you get alerted when price is 50% in profit. And then at that point, you set break even, or you secure some and set break even. Now, FX pairs definitely move slower, but this strategy will be amazing on US30, because US30, personally, I'm going for 100 pips TP, 100 pips stop loss. And if I catch a nice reversal on US30, hitting 100 pips is so easy on US30, especially if you're catching the bottom or the top. So keep in mind, those will be the confluences for this strategy. Set a point of origin where you notice the trend. Give yourself, go ahead and backtest. Determined to you and be objective. What is a trend on an FX pair? What is a not what is a trend? What is a valid trend based on this strategy on an FX pair? It doesn't have to be 40 pips. Personally, that's just what I'm using. It can be 60 pips for you. It can be 150 pips. So remember, the higher the pips you have, you need pips that are high enough to avoid a fake out, to avoid continuation of the trend you're trying to catch the reversal of, and you need a big enough buffer to let price do some breathing, and then you just set and forget. So yeah, that's how you would enter any of those trades for the reversals. Hopefully I answered your question. So today US30 we have, but you can see US30 we are in supply zones.
I think there is a sell on EU.
Yeah, so I'm in a sell on EU. Like I told you guys that I sold EU. I went into drawdown. And yes, you are actually right,
I'm in
because
sell now too in EU. I just got in it.
yeah, so actually, yeah, this should be an official position because we are waiting for closure. Yeah, this will be, thanks for pointing that out. I mean, so long as you guys made money, that's fine. So this would have been the sell. But since I just called it right now, if you're not in, feel free to hop in. So 20 pips stop loss, 20 pips stop TP. So what you're looking for here, and the reason for that, and thank you for bringing it in. What did they do here? They faked out, right? We were in heavy sell zones for EU, and of course use 0.5% risk for this trade. We were in heavy supply zones within a supply zone. So ideally this was a stop hunt, right? Because we are on the current monthly high. So at this point, I'll move the monthly high right there. So this was the last supply zone on EU. So, automatically, what are they going to try to do? Fake out all those sellers right here who have tight stop losses, who are waiting to sell on the monthly high. And on this, because this supply zones, when I say supply zone within a supply zone, think of it as this way, right? The lighter shaded areas, think of it as where sellers are. The darker shaded areas, think of where heavier or more sellers are concentrated, because you can have somebody selling up here, you can have somebody selling down here, but this the darker shaded areas, that's where most of the sell orders are. So interpret those supply zones within a supply zone that way. Just a second. So interpret them that way. I'm checking some other things. I want to make sure I'm not missing. Okay, so interpret them that way. So here, what ideally would you be looking for? And this is not even going off of the reversal strategy, right? Here, ideally, you'd be looking for sells, because price is coming down to a sell area. Because we didn't really get a nice sell rejection in this area. So we haven't really tested, these sellers haven't really had their day just yet. So here, what would you be waiting for? You wait for price to close below the 9 EMA, wait for a retest and closure below the 9 EMA. And at that point, guess what? This was the entry. Ideally, this was the entry right here, because you got a closure below the 9 EMA, you got a retest and closure below the 9 EMA. And that happened in a supply zone within a supply zone. So at that point, you expect price to continue spiking to the downside. Yeah, but thanks for identifying that. But I'll just ideally this was the entry, but I don't want to perfect or show that our trades are perfect. So around this area is when I called and said you can hop in. So with a 0.5% risk. Now you always want to see, right, when you're using your stop loss. Ideally here, I would like to have this stop loss below the previous high or below the previous high, which ideally would be, I'm sorry, above the previous high, which ideally would be above the current monthly high. But right now, based on how I see it, you should be safe for that trade. And here, you go ahead and draw your trend line, right? So this is a hanging trend line, but on the 1 minute, that's on the 5 minute. On the 1 minute, I'm pretty sure this is a established trend line, right? From the higher high to a lower high. Right, rinse. This is the same thing we do every day. Find a trend line to the downside. So I do see automatically a trend line to the downside right here. That's automatic. So, right. So if remember for static trend lines, price is almost always going to come back and retest the trend line for a static trend line. So this trend line to the downside has not been tested yet. So we do expect price to come back down. Now, you see what I mean about this stop loss? This stop loss, excuse me, this stop loss is ideally around the trend line. So for this particular trade, you can easily get stopped out and then faked out and price comes back down. If you can, for this particular trade, I know I did call 20 pips TP, 20 pips stop loss, but if you can, use a 30 pip TP, 30 pip stop loss, and risk the same amount, you'll have ideally a better chance or a more probable chance. But I'll just leave it at 200 since that's what I called. I'm not trying to perfect anything here. I trust that trade and actually, well, technically, personally, I'm in a sell from down here based on the reversal. So in any case, the only, or did I get stopped? Oh, wait, I actually got stopped out and that's what brought me to break even for the day. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so I'm at break even for the day. So this sell right here, I don't know if I want to. Okay, I'm in the trade right now. Personally, I went in bigger. So let's see. So that's the analysis for EU. Now same thing. Let's see if we have any trend lines on the hourly. So for the hourly, the only trend lines we have are going to cut across price, but they're still static trend lines. So these are the trend lines we have on the hourly. We have that. I'm not sure how far away price is from them. Yeah, so price is so far away from the hourly trend line. So there's really, unless you guys want to draw them and leave them on your charts, I don't see any trend lines on the hourly we can use today. Gold, we definitely do have trend lines we can use today. So ideally, I'm looking at the most recent trend line. So keep in mind, all those other trend lines from the past, they're still valid. And that's why I always recommend you guys to draw them on your MT4 and do not delete them. So this is the trend lines I see on gold. So for gold, remember I talked about the 2014 area. So you can see on the hourly price is being held by the 9 EMA to the upside. Trying to see right now on the 5 minute, this lower high, and possibly, I like ideally trend lines to be equidistant and probably a hanging trend line right there. For EU, definitely, and there you go, EU is melting. I think this is the only trade I'll take on the live, so I'm still having some migraine. I told you guys that yesterday I spent 20 hours on the screens, back testing and getting all these indicators, like the reversal indicator coded. So I'm still having migraines from yesterday. So that might be the only trade I end up taking today. On the hourly, I do see a hanging trend line. However, on the hourly, I don't like using hanging trend lines because the hourly is, it's such a higher time frame. So on the hourly, I like drawing established trend lines. So price is so far from this. So this is the only trade we'll take on the live session today. And other than that, unless you guys have any other questions, oh, US 30, let's see, my favorite. Okay, so like I always said, right? When you see US 30 coming we've traded this the last few days. When you see US30 going to supply zones within supply zones, so for example, right now it's going to demand zones within demand zones, right? Ideally, you'd expect retracement to the upside, but honestly here, I would rather keep selling US30. And you can see, oh, I think we missed the 4-hour bearish low. We have a 4-hour bearish high, 4-hour bearish low. So ideally for me here, I would keep selling US30. So the reason I demoed this on the live session with you guys yesterday, because as high or as low, and this is only for US30, as high or as low you think US30 is, it can keep going. So always, especially for US30, try to think the opposite, because ideally retail traders, as much as we're in this demand zones within demand zones, a lot of people are probably expecting this, right? But so long as we have demand zones below demand zones or supply zones above supply zones on US30, it's more than likely going to go there. And in addition, let the 9 EMA guide you. So in any case right here, I would be waiting for the reversal strategy. So where is US30 likely to head? We have a daily bullish low here, which we have a monthly low and monthly open. So to me, it makes more sense for US30 to come down here, do some retracement, possibly fake people out, come back, and now use this. Not that these demand zones are not valid. So keep in mind, they can always use demand zones as supply zones, and the opposite. So same way I always say, they can always use bearish zones as bullish zones. So now, if this is to play out, they'll use these demand zones now to take price up, and they'll use them as liquidity zones. You see like what happened to EU yesterday, and like how yesterday I was saying for EU, just wait for the bottom, right? Just wait for the bottom and then wait for closure above the 9 EMA, retest and closure above. And this is the same pattern that happened for EU. Now on the hourly, let's see. Right? What structure are we completing? We are about to complete structure. The next structure to be completed is around 33,301. What does that line up with? That lines up 33,301, lines up with this pattern. So lines up with a daily bullish low, lines up with a monthly low, monthly open. It's a no-brainer that US30 ideally should give us a nice little retracement up there that you can catch. And then I did say overall, right, again here I do see structure because we have this structure right here. So keep in mind, I did say that I do expect US30 to go to 29,000. So possibly a high time frame head and shoulders, and then drop back below here. Because if we definitely break the daily bullish low, so keep in mind around the daily bullish low, we also have the daily bearish low, which is where price is at right now, right? So keep in mind that we also have a daily bearish low. So here they can use this daily bullish low, pump price up a little bit and consolidate during Asia and London. And keep in mind, we do have, I think, FOMC next week, or is it NFP? And then from then on, bring price all the way back down. Now, if price breaks here, we're going to around 32,597. So this is what I mean by trading does get easier over time. Yeah, so for US30, honestly, I would wait. In any case, I would be looking for sells on US30 until we get to this zone. So keep in mind, we are in a daily bearish low. The only time I would buy, I would wait for price to come here, and then I'll wait for retest, closure above the 9 EMA on the 5-minute, and then retest and closure above the 9 EMA. And then and only then will I buy US30. And keep in mind, we still have this little demand zone right here. So if you look at this, this is the last saving grace for US30, 33,107 is the last saving grace before US30 drops to around 32,000. So if I entered, so there's two things, right? I definitely see a reversal at this point, but if you don't get a reversal at this point, US30 can keep trending down, pick up demand around 33,100, and then give you that closure above the 9 EMA. So that's why by using some of these strategies, you will literally never FOMO, unless, it's just a day that you just end up FOMOing. But if you're sticking to my strategies, you will never, ever FOMO in any trade. Personally, I do FOMO still sometimes, as much as I'm the one who developed the strategies. It's human, but let me put it this way, you will have less FOMO trades in your trading. But EU is still going. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I might end the stream early. As I did say, I'm still having some bit of migraine, so I may need to go and relax for a minute. Yeah, but let me know if you guys have any questions. In the meantime, I'll just adjust some of my accounts here. And if you guys have any strategies that you've seen or any price behaviors, and this is why I'm always able to give you guys a better product before, the next time and the next time, because I never stop looking for things to make trading better, because there's going to be days when the signals are going to be terrible. So you remember, like the first week when I started sharing this account, we had like a 9% growth, right? We had like a 9% growth like in 1 week. But then Thursday and Friday of last week, I lost like 4% for this particular account that's copying from a live account. And then this week we just had a little bit of break even. Today I had 1.5% loss, which I should have closed early because I already closed the trades in. But anyway, yeah, so I had like a 1.5% loss. So you can see that not every day. So sometimes and this is just taking all the US 30, NAS, and gold signals without analyzing. So you can see there are days when, even by taking, as much as the signals have a high win rate, there's a time when the signals will just not be going well. So at that point, we can have the reversal strategy. At that point, we can have, what other strategy do we have? We have a couple and I keep forgetting all of them. So this is the best thing about having multiple strategies, so that when the market shifts, we have tools that we can use to enter into trades. Yeah, but let me know if you guys have any questions and I can go over them. If not, I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. Okay, let's see. Yeah, but hopefully all of that makes sense. I'll record a video for the reversal strategy eventually. I know I'm still overdue for recording videos, but at this point, to me, I'm more concerned about finding other strategies, because at this point I'm just interested in having a hands-free trading experience, and then afterwards I can work on building this community.
Bro, I got a question.
I'm sorry, did anybody have a
Yeah,
question?
I've got a question. So, let's just say you have a signal at the at let's say you have a signal. You're on the 5 minute. You're on the 5 minute chart.
Mhm.
If you're on the 5 minute, you look at the 5 minute and the 15 minute. Yeah. So let's just say you got a signal. You're on the 5 minute and the 15 minute, but you got a sell. You're in a, let's just say we're in a supply zone, and you take a sell. Would you put your TP? Yeah, you usually say go for 20 pips. Let's just say the recent demand zone. Would you put your TP just above that, or would you put it? Would you put your TP within that demand zone?
So for signals, personally, if I was trading, so for me, signals, I really don't. If I was trading signals on the fly, my only confluence is retest of the 9 EMA. I don't care about supply zones. I don't care about demand zones. Now, if you,
yeah, I mean, like your indicators. You have like a supply and demand indicator. Do you have that? I'm sure you use that, right?
supply, well, personally, I mark those zones manually, but I think I get, yeah.
So
The
yeah,
Lux algo, you mean? Talking about Lux algo indicator? Well, if it's the Lux algo indicator, just to let you know, sometimes those zones pop up as a fake out. So you have to just kind of find other confluences to be sure too.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's what I was trying to say. What conferences do you? So you basically use the retest of the 9 EMA, right?
Yeah, just that.
Or
Now, that's just me, right? Now, if you do wait for the other confluences, if you wait, and so for me, right, retest, it's always better to wait for retest and closure above or below, depending on what distance you're doing. But for me personally, I trade all my strategies back to back. So I really have no time to, so long, like if I get a signal and I'm actually, so, and that's why for me, the account that trades signals, it just enters the signal on impulse. It doesn't have time to wait for the retest or whatnot. But let's say just one day I decided today I'm trading only the signals and I'm trading them manually. Definitely I would have a higher win rate than my AI, because if I got a buy, I would go on the 5 minute or whatever time frame, the buy or sell signal comes up, and then I would ask myself, where is the best time to enter? I draw my trend line, I look at my 9 EMA, and I look at structure, and then I will enter that signal at a better price point, more than likely, than the AI. And then, right, if I have supply and demand zones on my chart, if I get a buy signal but price is in a supply zone, I wouldn't enter, or price is in a supply zone and is in bearish zones, I wouldn't enter that trade, primarily because I'm trying to buy at the top. So it depends on how you take the signals. And I always advise people, if you're trading the signals, always make sure that the confluences align. Do not hop into the signals blindly. If you do, understand the risk and then manage your risk properly. So for example, this account, it will never hit maximum drawdown of 5% because I've set a limit to how much I lose in a day. So for me personally, if I lose like 3 back-to-back signals or 3 net signals are losing, the account just closes and it waits for the next trading period. So that's why for me, this account, it's perpetual for me. I really don't care about the ups and downs because I know the signals over time are profitable. I've set a max drawdown and I've set my profit target, and then I just let that ride. Whatever happens, happens. But if you traded all these signals 24/5 that this AI was taking, your equity curve would actually be to the top, because you would have filtered out the fake outs, you would have waited for confirmations and confluences, and you would have ideally avoided, so long as you didn't FOMO. And for me, this particular AI, it doesn't have break even. If a trade, I've set TP 20 pips, 20 pips. I don't secure half. I don't do anything. If a trade hits TP, it hits TP. If a trade hits break even, it hits break even. So if you traded the same way for each and every one of these signals right here, your growth curve would actually be to the top, because you'd have taken out, you'd have applied the confluences, which the AI ideally does not apply. The AI just knows I'm going to enter when I get a buy, I'm going to enter when I get a sell. So that's the importance of waiting for confluences. And when you guys will have access to this indicator, you will see the importance of waiting for confluences, because you can easily get burnt from this, because I can see people entering a buy here, entering a buy here, entering a buy here. However, this buys, even just by looking at them, I can tell these buys were not valid. When this buy came up, price was at 579. The next time price was at 343. So that's ideally, let's say a 40 pip. Sure, maybe one buy was valid, or this buy was valid. Okay, you wait for here, you enter a trade. This one ideally was valid if you're using this point as a point of origin. You enter into a buy. Ideally, you'd have made profit on this buy. And then maybe came back to break even. But I can see a lot of people not closing either of these two positions. So maximum, if you're going to enter the reversal, have a maximum of 2 trades in the same direction. So if it's a buy, maximum have 2 buys in the same direction. Don't keep, unless you're doing 0.1, 0.5 or whatnot, don't have more than 2 trades in one direction. And some of this, it's literally going to be common sense, and that will help you filter out a bunch of this. And there are settings in here that can whether the source is closed or fast MA. Now fast MA can filter out some of the fake outs and vice versa. And in other cases, the close will filter out the fake outs better. In other instances, like I just changed that and you can't see any improvement. The other thing you guys want to play around with, especially with my indicators, because the way my programmer does it, he optimizes it, or you have better results with Heiken Ashi candles. So Heikin Ashi candles is something else you can try using my indicators with. But personally, since my strategy is developed on Japanese candles or whatever the regular candlesticks, that's what I use. So this will ideally this indicator can easily make, and that's why I'm saying it can easily make or break your trade. So you just have to use it the way I advise you to. So here, I'm pretty sure there should be. I forget how I got the sell. Yeah, but anyway, it will be a lot of trial and error on your end. Yeah, so for me, US 30, I'll be waiting for closure above the 9 EMA. Ideally, I want to see price come down here. The only trade we are in is, oh, and there goes EU almost at full TP. What's up?
Yeah, so when you said on EU right now, the sell, there's a demand zone on the 5 minute. You can see there's a demand zone. So I know you said you put your TP for 20 pips or whatever.
So where is the demand zone? Well, personally, not to say that we don't have a demand zone, but I don't see on my chart. I don't see any demand zone for EU.
I'm saying around, you know, the around like 1.10390. Yeah. So let's just say, would you hold your position till around that, or would you just like close it?
So it depends, right? Even though if it's this position that I called here, for me, I don't care. Even though EU ends up dropping for the NQ, I actually entered with a heavy lot size here. If EU keeps dropping for 200 pips, I don't care. I only care to secure my 20 pips. So whatever happens, happens, right? Around that point you identified. So in any case, I'm not gonna look to make more money than the market is giving me. For me, this market is telling me, based on your sell and knowing that static trend lines will almost always get retested, this sell is likely to, at the very least, hit TP here. Now, if I want to ride this trade longer, I'll start trailing my TP, or when I get like 20 pips in profit, I'll start trailing my position. But at this point, for me, I never look to get more out of the market than I need, because what that does to me, I start looking for things that are not there. And more than likely, you know, sometimes, and I've traded that way in the past, I'll not set, like right now, you guys, your stop loss should be at break even, because the trade is like what, 15 pips in profit. So this trade that right now should be at break even. So keep in mind, we are in sell zone. So yeah, if you want to keep riding it, would I do it personally? No, I'm not going to do it, because why would I do it? It doesn't make sense. It's not part of my strategy. There are people who do that. Like maybe they have so remember, my trades are 1:1. So that is another reason why I'm not going to ride this trade further, because my strategy tells me 1:1 risk to reward. Now, if your strategy is 1:2, I mean, yeah, sure, I would, but that's not my trading style.
I've been playing around with 1 to 2, so
yeah,
I'm trying to see how that works out.
Yep. And remember, whether it's a 1:2, whether it's a 1:7, remember, all those numbers don't matter. The only number that ever matters in trading is what are you risking per trade.
Yeah,
because
one
yeah,
is all that matters, not the
right.
other.
Yeah, all these others, like, and that's why I even stopped saying, oh, this trade won, or you see, like this particular reply I put in here for EU. What did I say? I said for a gain of 0.75%. I don't say for a gain of 20 pips, or because to me, the pips only show me that my strategy, my setups are 1:1. That is all that pips tell me. The only thing that I care about while trading at this point is the return and how much am I risking for that trade. So you can have somebody risking 0.75 and doing a 1:7. You can have somebody risking 0.75 and doing even a negative risk to reward, right? Same thing. So it depends on what so long as your risk is in check, everything else is just something to help define or tell you where to exit or enter a position. Lastly, I know, let's see, today, are we going to have time to go over this? So every day, we do 6 of these questions from Trading in the Zone Attitude Survey. So Monday we did the first 6, yesterday we did the second 6, so today we'll do the next 6. And I'm terrible at math. What's the next 6? 15 to 18, right? Okay. So number 13, I often find myself feeling that the markets are against me personally, right? When you're starting off as a trader, yes, you feel this. It's a story I always tell you guys. Audrey and I used to feel like there's somebody who's watching us, because we used to get into a buy, and then the market, we just get like $5 profit, and then the market goes into a sell, and we end up either blowing the account or losing thousands of dollars. So yes, I think as a beginner, you'll go through this. You'll feel like there's somebody who's just watching you, and sometimes you think that the broker is always against you. Sometimes you think that, oh, maybe other people's charts are moving different from mine. So remember, what you see on the chart right here is the same thing that's showing on my chart. So I can see people who maybe entered into a sell here based on whatnot, and then price reversed exactly to the top. So I used to feel that. Nowadays I don't feel the same. Right nowadays, I know that I just have my strategies, and if a trade goes against me and my strategy was clear, I don't take it personally. I just keep moving on. What's the next one? The next one is so the other way to think about this, always expect to be successful in trading. There are people who just want to be successful, but there's a difference between expectations and just wanting. If you expect, you will wake up with a positive mindset. You'll say, hey, today I'm like, this week I was excited to trade. This week I didn't even have the reversal strategy, or I hadn't gotten the code into my programmer, but I always knew that, hey, you know what, there'll always be a next time, and this week is going to be an amazing week for me. And if you guys have seen my results this week, it's been amazing. And I like to tell people, don't give up. Like for me personally, trust me, there are times, even when I was this consistent, there are days not recently, but maybe a few months ago, I wanted to literally give up, because I really had felt like I've reached my learning curve, and I wasn't learning anything, and sometimes the markets were just moving against me. But guess what? If I gave up, we wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have developed this group. I wouldn't have developed all these strategies. Hey, I wouldn't have developed this new reversal indicator. So yeah, so nobody's against you, nobody's watching you. If you feel that way, ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Do you have a strategy? Have you backtested it? What are the results? Number 14, as much as I might try to let go, I find it very difficult to put past emotional wounds behind me. Now, yes, right? So this is the fear of jumping in. Because maybe yesterday you had a $5,000 loss, and then today you're worried, oh my God, it might be the same as yesterday. So for me, one thing that recording these results, and you can do this personally too, right? Record how much did you make today. So one thing that this does to me, so for example, I'll be honest with you guys, right? When we first started recording, and this week, like the last week of March, I was like, hey, every day we had a back-to-back winning day. We had 3.28% in 1 week. You know what? I was actually worried and said, I started this journey that I have this community and I'm going live every day. Ideally, I cannot fake anything on the live session. Every trade that we are taking, I'm marking up. And there goes EU full TP for a return of 0.5%. And I'll go ahead and include that in the return. So I was like, hey, we've won this whole day, and I'm not really responsible, but there are people who might be taking trades based on my analysis. What if the next day I lose? What if the next day I end up even blowing account like on the live session? But you know what? I looked back and said, hey, just take a chill pill. The last week you stuck to your strategy and you're analyzing and just being patient, not FOMOing. In any case, you guys enable me not to FOMO. You are not, oh wait, I am heavy on that EU trade. I'm up pretty nice. Now it's like, you're not FOMOing on this trade, so do the same thing you are doing. Don't change anything. In any case, look for improvements. And guess what? That's what we've been doing for this whole month, right? So we have a 0.5% one day. We didn't trade these days. Some days we just end up at zero because we have a winning and a losing trade. I think I should change those days to break even. I'm not really sure if they were break even or why I put zeros. Do you guys remember what happened on Monday? Did we just lose one trade and win another? Because I wonder what zero was. Or maybe we were on the live. I think I know what it is. We were on the live session but didn't take any trades. So that's why it was zero. Yeah, so that's why it was zero. So I told myself, hey, just take a chill pill. Whatever it is that you did, stick to your strategy. In any case, find ways to improve your strategy. And we've done that consistently for this month. And look at this month. Already we are up 3% for this month, and we just secured a 0.5% win on EU, right? So that's how you can deal with number 14. And also write small sticky notes on you to yourself, or whether it's a journal, so that it's a message. You see, like how I always tell you, I have a sticky note on my monitor that says stick to your strategy. I consider that as a message from the Michael that blew the account it wasn't 5 weeks ago, but I recently actually blew my my YOLO account. I told you guys I have a lot of accounts, and I used to have one main account that I used to go heavy on. I didn't care whether I blew it or not. But ideally, what this did, writing these sticky notes to myself, especially on my main accounts that I'm very careful on, when I see stick to my strategy and I feel like FOMOing, and I look at this sticky note and it says stick to my strategy, I think back and say, hey, why did I write stick to my strategy? Oh, I know what it was. It was because 3 months ago, if I go back to my journal, I'll go 3 months ago, I FOMOed into a buy on US 30, and this thing, that's the one day US 30 didn't have any retracement, and I ended up blowing my account. So I'll say, you know what? Yes, it's an emotional wound, but you can actually use and that's why I always say there's a difference between failing and learning. So because I blew my account back then, I choose to make that as a learning experience. So it's feedback. So I have these little messages around from my past self saying, stick to my strategy, so that at least I'm using, instead of those emotional wounds being wounds, they're actually feedback from my older version. So yeah, have whenever you make a loss or whatnot, and you actually feel like, hey, I made this loss, or I lost an account because I FOMOed, write a little message to yourself and say, and pin it to your monitor and say, you lost an account because of FOMO. And the next time you feel like FOMOing, because that sticky note will be on your computer, you'll see that little message from yourself and you will step away from the computer. So just have lessons learned and do sticky notes around your house for that. I have a money management philosophy that is founded in the principle of always taking some money out of the market when the market makes it available, right? So same thing when I talked about here, the EU trade. I don't care whether EU drops 1,000 pips from here. The market gave me an entry for 20 pips. I've taken my 20 pips. At the very least, yeah, sure, you can start trailing after this zone. But for me, if the trade has already, same thing like yesterday, right? When we were on the live session and I missed a buy, and then the trade came back down, and I said, you know what? The buy already went without me, and it was valid. That's all that matters. I'm not going to FOMO. I'm not going to do anything. So for me, my strategies are such that when I have, if it's 20 pips TP, 20 pips stop loss, I do not care whether I could have made 30 grand, whether I could have made 100 grand if I would have held, right? I only care that, hey, the market told me, hey, Michael, you have an opportunity to sell EU. What's your risk for this trade? If it's a reversal, your risk is, or your TP and stop loss is 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss. I'd put that into my trade manager, let it ride, and that's it. Whatever happens to that trade, whether it continues going in my direction for 1,000 pips and I got out only for 100 pips, I don't care. Number 16 is a trader's job is to identify patterns in the market's behavior that represent an opportunity, and then to determine the risk of finding out if these patterns will play themselves out as they have in the past. Yeah, this is what I do every day. I look at patterns, and patterns, because I've, especially for US 30, trading it daily for the last 3 years, I've identified how US 30 moves. And that's why I can easily tell you guys, as much as we're in demand zones right here, and US 30 seems overextended, this thing can keep dropping. So in any case, let me find where US 30 is likely to come back to, and then I'll wait at that point for my confluences to enter any buy. So yeah, so I same thing with the indicators I'm having developed, like the reversal indicator. It's based off of ideally how I trade reversals. So because of my experience, or because of seeing the patterns, I have this developed. It makes us what, like Livy, I think you made 3% yesterday. Desire, I know you also made a good amount of money yesterday. I made what? I made like, what was that? 4%, but I'm at break even for the day. But I'm still in this EU sell. because I'm going for. So this is the official trade taking on the live. The one I entered with a heavy lot size. So I risked like 3% or 2% of my account value. So I'm going for 50 pips TP, 50 pips stop loss. So, but that is because I'm using the reversal strategy. And also because I was in a sell earlier that just got faked out and then price came back down. Number 17, sometimes I just can't help feeling that I'm a victim of the market, right? So whether it's of the market or whether it's anything else in life, don't have a victim mindset. Never. If you have a victim mindset, I used to have that, and it's, it also depends on how you've been brought up. Some people are brought up with limited beliefs, right? Some of us used to get told that money doesn't grow on trees, or that we can't afford that we are broke. I've never said that I'm broke in my life. So maybe I've been broke, but personally, I always tell people I've never been broke in my life. And trust me, I didn't grow in money. As much as I make even all these profits, I don't like to think of myself as, oh, I've made it. So, but my mentality is that money is always out there. So as much as you're in a position where you don't have money right now, know that there are other people making money. So your job is to find a way to be in the group that makes money. But if you keep saying, oh, I'm only getting paid $10 an hour, that is all, I'm comfortable with that, but I can't afford to feed myself, I can't afford a little vacation, then, you can stop complaining that you're broke. So stop believing that you're a victim. I know there's this one story that I think I forget who mentioned it. I think it's Trump. He mentioned that he had a friend who he was broke, but he had a rich mindset. But this friend of his always flew first class. So it didn't matter whether he had the money or not. He always flew first class because he wanted to prepare him, because he had a mindset of where he wanted to be. So he said, my life is not flying coach. So every flight that I take will always be first class. Same thing, like for me also personally, a good example for me, if I go on vacation, like to a place that has a beach, I will never take a room that's not facing the ocean. So ocean view rooms are always more expensive than regular. But I decided that, hey, I will never ever in my life go for a vacation in an ocean area and not have an ocean view room. So ideally, right, you're also stretching your mentality and saying, I'm not comfortable with what everybody else is doing. And guess what, right? This friend he was talking about ended up making it later on in life. There are people, another good example, I remember a high school teacher of mine, he used to talk about, he always wanted like fancy cars, but he couldn't afford them. So what he actually used to do, he used to dress up so nicely and go to the dealership and then, act like he's like worth $1 million and say, I want to go test drive this Range Rover, I want to go test drive this Maserati. And eventually, as much as he didn't even have two pennies to rub together, eventually, because of that mindset and the experiences that he was putting himself through, he found a way to make it in life and he was able to afford such cars. So you're not a victim of this world, right? If you still feel that, there's nothing wrong with that. It's normal, it's human nature, but find a way for you to stop feeling that way and find a way that can help you achieve more in life. So this is just not about trading, but psychology of life in general. The last one for today, number 18, is when I trade, I usually try to stay focused in one time frame. Yeah, so for me, I trade on the 5-minute time frame. When I go to the 1-minute time frame, I'm only going to, so for example, when we draw a hanging trend line on whatever asset it is that we are drawing, and it's a hanging trend line on the 5-minute, I'll go to the 1-minute time frame to see if that trend line is established as a static trend line on the 1-minute. That is all. I'm not trading on the 1-minute time frame. I don't care about what's going on the 15-minute time frame. In any case, the only thing I do here is switch between three assets: US 30, gold, and EU. But I don't switch to the 1-minute and say, now let's trade on the 1-minute time frame. Hey, if we wanted, I have access to the 15-second time frame. We can literally trade the 15-second chart if we wanted, right? So this is find a time frame that works for you and stick to it. But other than that, we've completed the 6 questionnaires or questions for today. So we'll be doing 6 every day until we get it in, until we get every single day. And if you haven't already ordered this book, it's Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. It's definitely worth reading. Does anybody have any final questions? So today we are up 0.5% from EU. So that was a good trade. Thank you to whomever reminded me to look it up. Yeah. Any questions?
No, it's cool.
Okay, perfect. Then I will see you guys tomorrow. And there goes, this trade is still dropping. This is nice. All right,
Michael, man, thanks for everything again, man. All your hard work and putting in.
all right. Thank you all. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.